YouTube, happy Halloween for most people. We don't really celebrate Halloween at this house, but because I have kids I do. I'm Wiccan, so we celebrate the death of our ancestors. You can look it up. I'm not going to get involved in it because I am going to show you how I make my cobblers out of the can. Now, I prefer to do this with fresh blueberries, a simple syrup, fresh strawberries, a simple syrup, and homemade cake mix and things like that. But for the sake of the sanity and the fact that I am making multiples, I do it out of a can. Duncan Hines is my friend, so we are going to do it this way. I'm hopefully going to be able to get this up before I leave. If not, it will be up, but I do this every single holiday. These are smaller pans than normal too, so I can't remember how much pie filling I needed. So I got 2 of each kind. I've got blueberry and strawberry. You can use whatever kind of pie filling you want, or you can go my normal route, which is do it from scratch, which I do prefer scratch because it's just something I prefer. But like I said, for the fact that I have to make so many of these, I have canned optioned it. So basically, I've seen this recipe one time before. I made dozens of them, and I have unfortunately continued to make it year after year after year. It's a big hit. Like I said, I prefer to do this the other way. If you're wondering, I have a wet towel on the side of my body. So if you see me putting my hands down, it's because I'm wiping them off. I know some people are going to yell at me for using this can opener the wrong way. I know this. But it doesn't work the right way, unfortunately. Which is very, very annoying. Especially for me. But I'm going to do what I have to do right now to get these cans open. So, every Halloween, I go down to my old hometown to see the friends I haven't seen in forever and a day. We take all of our kids trick-or-treating. Sorry for the squeaking noise. This is not exactly the best thing in the world. I normally prefer to use the bigger cans of this, but I could not find them. I could not find the bigger cans at the store this year, which is very, very odd. But then again, this is sort of kind of how it is. This is kind of like a vloggy style of doing this. Not my favorite way of doing this, but it is the way I'm doing it. So, these are the 1 pound, 5 ounce cans. As you can see, I'm hoping to God all this stays in focus. And then I have a stick of butter frozen that I use my butter cutter and cut into the squares. And cake mix for the topping. You can use vanilla or you can use white. I actually have a mixture of both. And I have some spray pan. Normally I prefer to use lard, but I don't have any of that right now. And I just gently spritz the pan on the bottom simply because this is so sticky. And I mean very gently. I don't use a lot of it. And then basically, it's assembling. All you do is you take, let me go grab another spatula. I just realized I didn't have my second one. also need a small spatula. I normally have my bigger one, but I used it when I made macaroni and cheese, so. But basically all you do is you take the cans and you dump in the filling. Oh yeah, one can is going to be plenty for these. You can use 2. I'm only going to use 1. Maybe I'm going to use 2. You kind of spread it out. Yeah, I'm only going to use 1 can. I don't want to make these too high. So, if you're doing this from scratch, when I do this from scratch and I use fresh strawberries and fresh blueberries or fresh apples, I core and peel the apples and then I cut them. The strawberries, I prefer to use between 2 and 2.5 pounds of strawberries. I cut them up in half. And then I also cut them up in fourths, and then I slice them and mix them all together for this. And when I make a simple syrup, I use 3 cups water to 3 cups sugar, so an equal ratio. Sometimes you may need 4 cups. That's up to you. That's just how I prefer to use it. This is very sticky. And as you see, I'm just dumping this out. This is probably the easiest part of this entire recipe. Also, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Do that while you're getting your stuff ready. My oven actually takes about 20 minutes to heat up. Assembling this takes between 15 and 20 minutes. Also, the other reason you need a smaller spatula is so you get all this gunk out of the can. The gunk is basically their version of a simple syrup. It's just in the can. This is not only a Halloween time recipe, this is a year-round recipe. I normally only make this around Halloween because I live in Florida and turning on our oven in the middle of any time of the year is annoying. So again, I'm hoping this is in focus. I am just kind of spreading this out. Scraping, spreading, scraping, spreading. Trying to get this as evenly layered as possible. Yes, I have my recycling bin right there. Okay, I guess for these smaller pans, you only need 1 can. If you're doing a 9x13, you do need 2 cans. This is the cake mix I like to use. You can use whatever cake mix. There's no specific brand that's better than any others. I just prefer this. And this is actually the vanilla. I actually have a white in a bag next to me down here, which I also have a small sifter and a pair of scissors because you're gonna need those. This next part is the most tedious and time-consuming part of the entire recipe. If you want, you could get a small bowl and mix the two. I prefer not to do it that way. That's just my preference. I like to see exactly how much of each I'm getting, how much of each I'm doing. This smells so good. And all you basically do is take your sifter. I prefer to sift. Some people don't. Take some of the cake mix of each of them. Into your sifter, like so. And then we sift. Sifting is not something you have to do. I prefer to sift because I think it distributes this a lot better. And you're going to need a thick layer. Normally I do about a 1-inch thick layer of this. I really go hard on this. That's, there again, just my preference. If you want a lighter coat, you can go lighter. If you want heavier top, you can go heavier. I just prefer lighter. This part can get slightly messy. Like I said, I prefer to mix a white cake mix with a vanilla cake mix to do this. Some people like one flavor more than the other. And the goal here is with the sifter too, I like it because it gives me a lot more control. I can also see to make sure that I'm covering all of the topping, which is the other main thing, is to cover all of the topping. You basically want to see no topping whatsoever. And if, like I said, if you want, you can mix these cake mixes in a bowl to make it easier. I just don't like doing it that way. I know it's probably harder for me, but I don't care. Like I said, this is kind of sort of my way of doing this. There is thousands of other ways you can do this, thousands of other recipes. This is just the one I like. Okay, now that that's done, I will finish this off over here. And yes, I use my fingers to finish this part off. Probably really shouldn't do that, but I am. This is where the butter comes in. For these smaller pans, you only are going to need half. Obviously for the 13 by 9s, you will need a whole. But basically, you just cut it into equal squares and you set them on top like so, very, very carefully. Again, trying to space them out as best as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. Obviously, using cold butter is best. And yes, I'm using my fingers to divide this. Probably not the most sanitary thing in the world, but then again, it still works nicely. And then I prefer to sift the cinnamon and sugar as well. And that's all this is equal parts cinnamon, equal parts sugar. I just kind of let it go through the sifter. Now if you feel like you need more cake mix, you can add more cake mix. You won't need to, I don't think. But if you feel the need to, go right ahead. Sorry if you hear my cats in the background. They are locked up because for them this would be playtime heaven. If you do not have a sifter, don't worry about it. Just try to evenly distribute the topping I just went to the Dollar Tree and got another one of these little ones. This one is specifically for my cobblers. I have other ones I use for other things in my baking, if I'm making bread or making cakes. But this one is specifically for cobbler. I have a whole shelf that is dedicated to cobbler making in my house. It is one of my husband's all-time favorite things. Is this time of the year when I make my cobblers. And like I said, the whole idea is just to cover it completely. And then the rest of the butter. You really do need very cold butter for this. My butter is slowly starting to melt on me. And it's best to try to stagger the butter pads as well, if you can. And if you feel the need that you want butter somewhere else as well, you can of course do halves. Butter does expand once it gets in there. And then once again, we top it with the cinnamon and sugar. Mixture. And then these go into the oven for anywhere between an hour to an hour and 30 minutes. And that's it. Basically it's when the top of the cobbler looks done, because it is cake mix, so it's got that slight brown tint to it. And then that's it. Now these cake mixes, you can save them for other cobblers if you want, or you can look at the back and make half recipes with them. I will of course use these up within the next 2-3 days. Today is Halloween. Today is actually October 31st. So after today, I will be making several more of these for my friends and family as late gifts. And then the only other thing I do is, if you want, once you take them out of the oven, you can sprinkle more cinnamon and sugar on top. I don't, because I pretty much cover it. This is a very sweet dessert. And that is it. I will probably insert a picture of the finished product when it's done, because I still have not figured out how to put 2 videos together yet. I'm still learning this whole YouTube thing. So sorry for the mess. I still have a hole in my ceiling. My table still contains 90% of what is in those cabinets. So I'm working with limited space and limited everything right now. But hopefully you enjoy, and I didn't ramble too much. This is a 20-minute long one-take video. So please like, comment, and subscribe. I don't need the "this is not healthy, I know this is unhealthy" full disclaimer. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and I will talk to you later. Bye.